morning! We have a really big day today. We're planting out all of the seedlings for the late autumn blooms. So they're the plants that I started about a month ago. They're ready to go out. The only thing I'm tossing up about is today's meant to be very hot. So unless I can get out there now, get them in and then cover them with shade cloth, or do I hold off until tomorrow? But I really want to get the job done. Let's have a look at what we've got. The thing that I want to do first is the Feverfew. So I've got them down here. There is another one. I thought there was... Oh, there's another one here. So I will pull the best plants out, pop them in to grow. And then the next thing I want to work on is the Kale, Snapdragons. I do have a little spot to fill out with these pincushion flowers. And then I've got all of these different stocks down here, and then we're going to tackle the veggies probably another day. Something you need to do before you plant out your seedlings is harden them off a little bit. I pulled back the outer layer of the shade cloth so they've had way more sun on them. Just yesterday was really, really hot and sunny, so they had yesterday sitting under that. They've had half of today. And I'm also kind of hot. I wanted to start really early this morning. It just didn't happen. It's about 11 a.m. and it's already about 30 degrees Celsius. So I'm feeling pretty hot. I've got my rashie on to stop the sunburn. I've thrown a lighter coloured t-shirt over the top in the hopes that it keeps me a bit cooler. With the Feverfew, you can see we've got some here that have flowered. I won't use those. I will snip them off, and if I've got spots at the end, I'll pop them in, make sure I've cut those flower heads off. But what I'm doing is I'm looking for really good specimens to begin with. The other thing I'll do is any pots that have soil in it, leave the soil in there, because I'm going to be taking cuttings for the next succession. So the day I plant out the Feverfew cuttings is the same day that I'm doing the cuttings for the next succession. I want to show you how they look. So when we pull one out, remember that was the cutting, it just looked like, let me just take a cutting off here. If you remember back, it just looked like this. I poked it into the soil. When it's ready to plant out, it'll look like this. Really, really nice, really nice root ball on there. And we just dig our hole and pop it in the ground. I'm actually going to fill up this empty spot here. It's as easy as that. Here we go, they're all in. So they will bulk up even more, and in a month or so they'll look like this, and then they'll start shooting up their flowers for us to pick from. I have a gap, which I really needed one extra tray, but my goal these days is to get about half a row each time I plant out now. So I just know I need to do another tray of cuttings. So I need 5 trays of cuttings for the Feverfew to fill half a row. So the next plant we're planting out is stock. This is a little bit of an experiment. Normally we would be planting stock seed in winter to plant out for early spring. It doesn't really seem to like frost, and we get heavy frost here. So this is an experiment. They're not quite as big as you would hope them to be planting out, and they don't like the heat. So this is a big experiment. What I'm going to do is get them in the ground. I've got 5 different varieties. I'm just going to space them out for 5 different little plots. label them, and we're going to see what happens. Maybe we'll get some flowers before the frost hits. That's the hope. So let's get them in. So now what I need to do is write labels for each variety. I'm going to put them, I've got a pretty wide gap between each variety. Make sure each section, there's 5 different types there. I'm just sweating so much. It is so muggy. Make sure each section is labeled really well. And then I'm going to net it because the fence is down, as you can see. And it'll just provide a tiny bit of shade too. Let the experiment begin. It may be very weather dependent, but I may just get stock before the frost, which would be amazing. I've got about 90 days until the frost. And I think stock is 140. So, and they've only been growing for 30. So we'll see. This job done because I didn't get all the plants in yesterday and I need to move on to a new task today. As you can see, the fences are really down, but the wallabies can just jump them anyway, so we've got some kale going in right now and then I'll do the snaps. Just dripping with sweat again. It's not actually very hot, just so humid. Oh, it makes it hard to breathe. And it poured rain last night. So it's almost like this steamy feeling. I can't help but think it might want to rain again, but there's no rain clouds. Anyway, got this row done. Snapdragons. So they're both the Costa series, Costa Orange, Costa Velvet, so an orange and a red, in the hopes that they flower in late autumn. Snapdragons will flower around 120 days. They've been planted for 30 days, and there's 90 days until our predicted first frost. So we will see. We might not actually get anything. I couldn't have done them any earlier though, so it was just too hot. Then I've got all the kale in. So we've got the Crane series, so the bicolour and the pink. I just don't have time to get the cover on it. I'm going in to make a Zoom call, one of the group calls. If you're interested in doing that once a month, you can head to my Patreon. So going to do that, and I've got to hope the rabbits don't come in and eat my kale while I'm doing that. Makes me a bit nervous. Once I've finished these, I do need to get the fences back in working order, at least good enough to try to deter the rabbits. So anyway, I'm gonna go in, clean myself up, and then I'll come back out. So this weather that's just taken a turn, there is smoke all through the valley. People are starting to mention it, so it's very windy. I am just gonna, there's nothing on our emergency app, we get alerts for bushfires, but yeah, it's confirmed it's smoke. I'm just gonna put the drone up and we'll see if we can see anything. Only bugger is it's so windy, so I've got it out in the paddock just in case it falls out of the sky. Might survive. A bit hard to tell, but it looks like it's somewhere between sort of Beechworth and Myrtleford. Like that's a pretty big, it's like a 90-degree radius on a map. But the good news for us is anything coming towards us from that direction, that means our escape route is into Wodonga, which is the main town nearest us. So I'm just going to continue. Oh, these are not cut. That's a pain. Continue finishing this job. I'm nearly done. Okay, done. I'm going in now. I am starting all the cool flower seed starting. You're going to see that next week. I'll go through everything that I'm popping in, and the really cool part about it is we seem to be starting our cool flowers at the same time as a lot of people in the northern hemisphere who've had to wait for the, well, I guess you have a late start to spring or late start to the season, so I think that's pretty cool. It's the next morning and I thought I'd better come back and show you where we're at with the plantings and how everything's looking. It's looking beautiful. I'm going to give you a very quick tour. The first thing that I haven't shown you is the Feverfew now that it's planted out. You would have seen me planting it out, but that was as far as we got, wasn't it? So this is how they're doing. They've perked up. They're already expanding a lot. Once things get into the ground and their root systems can start spreading out, plants will really take off. So that's going good. I have this little tiny patch. I'll just poke something in there. Maybe something that I want to trial. I just want to do a little tiny patch of it. I'll put it in there. But our spring onions, they've all stood themselves up. So don't worry when you plant out onions. If they're laying over on the side, they will stand themselves up. I didn't get the butterfly peas out. I'll do that today. We've got our stock and it is looking really good under this cover. I'll just lift this up and show you. Everything's looking good under there. So that's good. They all survived that really hot day. I did come out and water in the middle of the day, so that helps a lot. And then we've got our 3 beds over here. And if you can't tell from my voice, I'm obviously so chuffed that this is done. Like, it's the most happiest feeling to come out and just see plants in the ground and our next rotation of crops in, which means, you know, in 3 months' time we have more flowers, which is going to be so good. This is the snaps. They're all tucked in, looking pretty good. I didn't pinch out the snaps. I'm still tossing up if I will. I kind of like having the one big nice stem. So maybe I might just do half of it, see how those varieties go with pinching and how big those stems are once they're branching out like that. Here's our kale. I'll get you under there to have a look. The kale is in there looking happy. Now these nets are obviously going to stop the birds and the rabbits and the wallabies. It's not going to stop the slugs and the snails. I don't really see too many snails. I see a lot of slugs. I may have to come through and put some snail pellets. And then lastly is some of the brassicas veggies that I've popped in. It's looking so good. I'm so happy about it. I also put some more Gomphrena in, just in this little section here, just along here. It's just they're very tiny little seedlings, but I thought, why not just pop them in there? They'll probably do better in there than they were in the grow tunnel anyway, in the shade house. So they'll come up, and I've got another little spot here to just do a test of something. I'm actually thinking I might put the pincushions here because I'm not wholly convinced that I really want to grow the pincushion flowers. I'll go and show you the ones I've got already. They don't hold their petals very well, and they sort of fall apart in bouquets. And I know I'm coming at this from a very harsh stance because I've had a lot of comments about what I said about the Rudbeckia not having a good vase life. I get that it lasts in a vase, but it doesn't look good in a vase for a long time. That's sort of where I'm coming from. And I think the florist perspective, the idea is you want it to look really, really nice for as long as possible. And I just don't think Rudbeckia does. I feel like it's one of those garden meadow sort of flowers that you pick and you enjoy on your table for a little bit. It's really nice to have in your own garden and enjoy for a couple of days. But in a bouquet, I really feel like it looks ratty very quickly. And I know that not everyone's going to agree with that. But I feel a bit like that with this pincushion as well. So this Scabiosa. I don't mind these seed heads. They look kind of cool. And it may be that I just grow it for that. But I like them green. I don't really want them brown. It's just a really quick flower. You know, so it takes forever to grow. But once it starts flowering, the flowers come on quick and then they disappear. But look at how gorgeous they are. It's like they've got little stars amongst them. I really think they're so pretty. But I also think very pretty for, you know, a house garden or a little picking garden, not so much a florist garden, if that makes sense. So this is how we're looking. I just can't explain the satisfaction of seeing those netted tunnels out there with fresh flowers in them. I also think part of why this is so exciting for me, we've never actually achieved an early plant out like this. I've always left it too late and then not had anything for late autumn. So then once the frost has hit, that's it, everything's died off. And then I've put the cool flowers in over winter. So we've had this massive gap. Whereas now, this season, I feel like we have the opportunity. I don't know what will happen with the weather, but there's a possibility. Like, I'm actually on track. And then I'm starting the cauliflower seeds next. So they'll be going out mid-March. So they'll get really well established. That's 6 weeks before our first predicted frost. What happens in reality, who knows? But I just feel like we've finally got the timing of the farm under our belts. It only took 4 years, but I feel like 4 seasons isn't that bad.